What's going on, YouTube? Listen up, young elder gang. This is Ted Strokes at you with another banger. Please make sure you like, subscribe, and share this video. Fam, I hope this video get at least 100,000 likes. In this video, you will find history definitions, scripture information, and best of all, what we Americans have been deprived of from the beginning. The truth, keep in mind, this content used in this video is intended for entertainment, educational, and informational purposes only. We will give you the total truth as we best understand it today. Be sure to hit that like button. Young elder gang, hit that subscribe button. If you're new to the channel, hit that bell, and don't forget to check back with us every day for new content. Pull up a chair. Take a look around. The air is thick with smoke and secrets, and every glance across the table means something. This isn't just any meeting. This is where the real decisions get made, far from the public eye, in the shadows where power brokers gather. This isn't about personal beefs, it's business. Cold, calculated, and ruthless. In this world, feelings don't matter. Only the bottom line does. Every man at this table knows the stakes, and nobody's here by accident. We're talking about the guys who got in the way of the world bankers' money. The ones who dared to challenge the system, who thought they could rewrite the rules. They didn't just step on toes, they threatened the flow of billions. The big bosses print the cash, and if you mess with their accounts, things get messy. There are rules. Pay your tribute, kick up your share, and everyone eats. It's a delicate balance, a global game where everyone has their place and stepping out of line comes with consequences. But sometimes, a guy tries to keep it all for himself. Maybe he thinks he's smarter, or maybe he just gets greedy. He forgets that in this world, nobody is untouchable. That's when the bosses make him an offer he can't refuse. It's not just a threat, it's a warning. Play by the rules or pay the price. The message is always clear, even if it's never spoken out loud. If he still doesn't listen, he's out. Sometimes that means exile. Sometimes it means something much worse. The chair he once sat in is left empty, a silent reminder of what happens to those who cross the line. Tonight, we're talking about leaders who got in the way of the money, and what happened next. These are the stories of power, betrayal, and the high price of defiance in a world where money talks, and those who don't listen disappear. First up, Kwame Nkrumah, Ghana's first leader after independence. Nkrumah was more than just a politician. He was a visionary, a man who inspired hope in millions. When Ghana broke free from colonial rule in 1957, he stood at the forefront, promising a new dawn for his people. His speeches echoed across Africa, calling for unity, progress, and self-determination. He had a grand vision: modern roads to connect villages and cities, schools to educate the next generation, and the mighty Akusambo Dam to power the nation. Nkrumah dreamed of a Ghana that could stand tall, not just for itself, but as a beacon for all of Africa. He spoke of a continent united, free from the chains of colonialism, working together for prosperity and peace. But Nkrumah wanted more than just independence. He wanted true sovereignty. He pushed for Ghana to have its own currency, its own industries, and to stop sending wealth back to the old colonial powers. He believed that real freedom meant economic control, and he was determined to build a nation that could chart its own course, free from foreign influence. But the international bankers and foreign powers didn't like that. They saw Nkrumah's ambitions as a threat to their interests. His push for independence and self-reliance made powerful enemies in the West, who feared losing their grip on Africa's resources and markets. They labeled him a communist, spread rumors, and worked behind the scenes to turn his own people against him. Discontent grew, and soon soldiers hungry for power were ready to act. The stage was set for a dramatic fall. While Nkrumah was away on a peace mission, his own men staged a coup. Tanks rolled through Accra, and the government he built was toppled in a matter of hours. The dream of a united, independent Africa was shattered, at least for a time. Exiled, never to return. Nkrumah spent his final years far from home, watching as the bankers and foreign powers reclaimed their influence over Ghana. The message was clear: challenge the system, and you'll pay the price. The lesson for the world's leaders was unmistakable. Don't cut the bosses out of the action. The real power lies not just in politics, but in who controls the money. In this world, money is sacred. It's the lifeblood of nations, and those who control it, control everything. Nkrumah learned the hard way. It's just business, nothing personal. His story is a reminder. In the global game of power, ideals often fall to the might of money. Next, we turn to Patrice Lumumba, the Congo's first prime minister, a man whose name still echoes through the halls of African history. Lumumba was not just a politician, he was a symbol of hope, a voice for a nation long silenced by colonial rule. His rise marked a turning point, a moment when the Congolese people dared to dream of true independence. The Congo was the mother lode: diamonds, uranium, cobalt, and gold. Its soil was rich beyond imagination, a treasure chest that fueled the ambitions of empires. For decades, these resources were extracted and shipped away, enriching foreign powers, while the Congolese people remained in poverty. The Belgian royal family and their business partners ran the show, treating the Congo as their private estate. They controlled the mines, the land, and the people, until Lumumba stood up and said, "No more." He challenged the old order, demanding that the wealth of the Congo benefit its own citizens, not distant kings and foreign corporations. Lumumba's vision was bold. He wanted Congo's riches to build schools, hospitals, and a future for his people. He spoke of unity, dignity, and self-determination, inspiring millions who had known only oppression. But his dreams threatened powerful interests. The Americans and Belgians panicked. He was a threat to their Cold War plans, a leader who refused to play by their rules. In secret rooms they plotted, fearing that Lumumba's Congo might slip from their grasp and inspire others to do the same. They tried everything: bribes, poison, and propaganda. But when those failed, they turned to local rivals, fueling divisions and orchestrating a military coup. The plan was ruthless: remove Lumumba at any cost. Lumumba was captured, beaten, and handed over to his enemies. There was no trial, no jury, just a swift, brutal execution. The world watched in silence as a nation's hope was extinguished. His body was dissolved in acid, his remains erased from history books. They tried to wipe out not just the man, but the very idea he represented: a free and independent Congo. That's what happens when you threaten the family's rackets, when you challenge the invisible hands that profit from chaos and control. In the end, the Congo's riches stayed in the hands of the bosses. The mines kept running, the minerals kept flowing, and the profits kept leaving the country, just as they always had. Lumumba's fate was sealed the moment he tried to change the rules. His courage inspired generations, but it also made him a target for those who feared change. That's the cost of defiance. Lumumba's legacy lives on, a reminder that the struggle for justice is never easy, but always necessary. Thomas Sankara, Burkina Faso's revolutionary. Thomas Isidore Noel Sankara, 21st December 1949, 15th October 1987, was a Burkinabe military officer, Marxist and pan-Africanist revolutionary, who served as the president of Burkina Faso from 1983, following his takeover in a coup, after Sankara was appointed Prime Minister of the Republic of Upper Volta in 1983. He had political disputes with the sitting government that resulted in his eventual imprisonment. While he was under house arrest, a group of revolutionaries seized power on his behalf in a popular coup later that year. At the age of 33, Sankara became the president of the Republic of Upper Volta and launched an unprecedented series of social, ecological, and economic reforms that were part of what he referred to as the People's Democratic Revolution. In 1984, Sankara oversaw the renaming of the country as Burkina Faso, Land of the Upright People, and personally wrote its national anthem. His foreign policy was centered on anti-imperialism, and he rejected loans and capital from such organizations as the International Monetary Fund. He rejected the IMF, the World Bank, and told Africa to stop paying colonial debts. He lived simply, built self-sufficiency, and inspired his people. But the French and Americans saw a threat. They found his ambitious friend, Blaise Compaoré. In 1987, Compaoré's men stormed the palace. Sankara was killed. The new boss went back to the bankers. Sankara's dream died with him. In this game, principles can get you killed. Loyalty has a price. Amílcar Cabral, brains behind Guinea-Bissau's fight for independence. Amílcar López Cabral, 12 September 1924, 20 January 1973, was a Bissau-Guinean and Cape Verdean agricultural engineer, political organizer, and diplomat. He was one of Africa's foremost anti-colonial leaders. He was also a pan-Africanist and intellectual nationalist revolutionary poet. Also known by the nom de guerre Abel Jassy, he led the nationalist movement of Guinea-Bissau and the Cape Verde Islands and the ensuing War of Independence in Guinea-Bissau. Cabral was shot dead on 20th January 1973, about 8 months before Guinea-Bissau's unilateral declaration of independence. He was deeply influenced by Marxism, becoming an inspiration to revolutionary socialists and national independence movements worldwide. He built his movement from the ground up, outsmarting the Portuguese. When they couldn't beat him in battle, they infiltrated his crew. A jealous insider, hungry for power, pulled the trigger in 1973. Cabral was gone, but his movement survived. The message: even the smartest can get clipped. In this world, betrayal comes from within. That's Omertà. Samora Machel, Mozambique's guerrilla leader turned president. Samora Machel, 29th of September 1933, 19th October 1986, was a Mozambican politician and revolutionary. A socialist in the tradition of Marxism-Leninism, he served as the first president of Mozambique from the country's independence in 1975, until his death in a plane crash in 1986. Machel was born in the village of Madragoa, today's Chilambeni, Gaza Province, Mozambique, to a family of farmers. His grandfather had been an active collaborator of Gungunhana. Under Portuguese rule, his father, like most black Mozambicans, was classified as indigena, native. He was forced to accept lower prices for his crops than white farmers, compelled to grow labor-intensive cotton, which took time away from the food crops needed for his family, and forbidden to brand his mark on his cattle to prevent thievery. However, Machel's father was a successful farmer. He owned 4 plows and 400 head of cattle by 1940. Machel grew up in this farming village and attended Mission Elementary School. In 1942, he was sent to school in the town of Zongene in Gaza Province. The school was run by Catholic missionaries who educated the children in Portuguese language and culture. Although having completed the 4th grade, Machel never completed his secondary education. However, he had the prerequisite certificate to train as a nurse anywhere in Portugal at the time. Since the nursing schools were not degree-conferring institutions, he fought the Portuguese, then faced the apartheid regime next door. Machel supported Mandela's ANC, making enemies in Pretoria and the West. In 1986, his plane crashed near the South African border, officially pilot error, but many suspect sabotage. Machel and 33 others died, a high-tech hit, a warning to others. The family keeps order, by any means. That's how power is enforced. Muammar Gaddafi, Libya's boss for 40 years. Muammar Muhammad Abu Minyar al-Gaddafi, c. 1942, 20 October 2011, was a Libyan military officer, revolutionary, politician, and political theorist who ruled Libya from 1969 until his assassination by Libyan rebel forces in 2011. He came to power through a military coup, first becoming revolutionary chairman of the Libyan Arab Republic from 1969 to 1977, Secretary General of the General People's Congress from 1977 to 1979, and then the brotherly leader of the Great Socialist People's Libyan Arab Jamahiriya from 1979 to 2011. Initially ideologically committed to Arab nationalism and Arab socialism, Gaddafi later ruled according to his own Third International theory. He nationalized oil, angered the Western families, survived assassination attempts. Later, he tried to unite Africa with a gold-backed currency, threatening the dollar and euro. the French and Americans saw their business model at risk. In 2011, protests erupted. NATO intervened, rebels armed. They said Gaddafi terrorized the people of Libya with free electricity and free healthcare. He must be a mad dog. Gaddafi was hunted down and killed in the street. No trial, just a message. That's what happens when you try to start your own bank. The old bosses keep control. Gaddafi's fate was a warning. In this world, you don't challenge the money. Sylvanus Olympio, Togo's first president. Sylvanus Epifanio Olympio, French pronunciation 6th September 1902, 13 January 1963, was a Togolese politician who was prime minister and then president of Togo from 1958 until his assassination in 1963. He came from the important Olympio family, which included his uncle Octaviano Olympio, one of the richest people in Togo in the early 1900s. After graduating from the London School of Economics, he worked for Unilever and became the general manager of the African operations of that company. After World War II, Olympio became prominent in efforts for independence of Togo, and his party won the 1958 election, making him the prime minister of the country. His power was further cemented when Togo achieved independence, and he won the 1961 election, making him the first president of Togo. He was assassinated during the 1963 Togolese coup d'etat. He saw through the French family's independence scam, control through the CFA franc. Olympio wanted a real currency, real independence. The French used disgruntled ex-soldiers as muscle. In 1963, just after printing new money, Olympio was hunted down and killed. The coup set the tone for post-colonial Africa. The message, don't mess with the golden goose. The old country always collects. Back to the Congo. Laurent Kabila, the revolutionary who toppled Mobutu. Laurent-Désiré Kabila, French pronunciation. 27th of November 1939, 16th January 2001. Usually known as Laurent Kabila or Kabila the Father, U.S. Pronunciazione, was a Congolese rebel and politician who served as the third president of the Democratic Republic of the Congo from 1997 until his assassination in 2001. Kabila initially gained prominence as an opponent of Mobutu Sese Seko during the Congo crisis, 1960-1965. He took part in the Simba Rebellion and led the communist-aligned Fizi rebel breakaway state in eastern Congo from 1967 to 1988, before disappearing from public. In the 1990s, Kabila re-emerged as leader of the Alliance of Democratic Forces for the Liberation of Congo, ADFL, a Rwandan and Ugandan-sponsored rebel group that invaded Zaire and overthrew Mobutu during the First Congo War from 1996 to 1997. Following the war, Kabila became the new president of the country, whose name was changed back to the Democratic Republic of Congo. The following year, he ordered all foreign troops to leave the country following the Kasika massacre to prevent a potential coup, leading to the Second Congo War, 1998-2003, in which his former Rwandan and Ugandan allies supported several rebel groups to overthrow him. In 2001, he was assassinated by one of his bodyguards and was succeeded by his 29-year-old son, Joseph. At first, the West thought he'd play ball, but Kabila wanted Congo's wealth for Congolese. He kicked out foreign backers, reviewed mining contracts, and courted China. The pressure mounted: war, invasions, chaos. In 2001, an insider shot Kabila in his office. The assassin was silenced. The business went back to normal. In Congo, the house always wins. That's how you keep the business running. Eduardo Mondlane, Mozambique's liberation architect. Eduardo Chivambo Mondlane, 20th of June 1920, 3rd and February 1969, was a Mozambican revolutionary and anthropologist who was the founder of the Mozambican Liberation Front, Frelimo. He served as the Frelimo's first leader until his assassination in 1969 in Tanzania. An anthropologist by profession, Mondlane also worked as a history and sociology professor at Syracuse University before returning to Mozambique in 1963. He attended several different primary schools before enrolling in a Swiss Presbyterian school near Manjakaze. He ended his secondary education in the same organization's church school at Lamana College at Njakanjaka village, above Elim Hospital in the Transvaal, Limpopo Province, South Africa. He then spent 1 year at the John H. Hofmeyr School of Social Work before enrolling in Witwatersrand University in Johannesburg, but was expelled from South Africa after only a year in 1949, following the rise of the apartheid government. He united rival crews, built Frelimo, and outmaneuvered the Portuguese. The secret police tried to divide his movement, but when that failed, they sent a book bomb. In 1969, Mondlane was killed instantly. His movement survived, but the message was clear: nowhere is safe. The old family can reach you anywhere. That's the cost of going against their interests. The struggle continues, but the risks never change. 9 bosses, 9 stories. Different faces, same fate. They tried to change the game, keep the wealth for their people, and got taken out. Coups, assassinations, crashes, the methods change, the result doesn't. In this world, you mess with the money, you get whacked. Power, not justice, rules the table. Remember the code. Omertà. Omertà is a code of silence and honor that originated in southern Italy, requiring individuals to remain silent when dealing with authorities and to avoid interfering in the affairs of others, particularly concerning criminal activities. It is a core principle for mafia-type criminal organizations like the Cosa Nostra and is rooted in a deep distrust of the state and a tradition of self-justice. The code mandates that members and associates do not speak to police or other authorities about criminal activity, even if they are victims. Violating Omertà is a serious offense that can result in severe punishment, including torture and death for the individual and their family. The term can also refer to the secrecy sworn by oath within criminal organizations. You didn't see nothing, you didn't hear nothing. That's the real history, written in blood and money.